Looks like the F1 silly season is definitely starting with this whole drama happening with Mercedes, specifically for Toto Wolff and Susie Wolff. There are some new things that have came out about it that kind of paint the whole entire picture as to what is happening. Now, this all started over some source that talked about information being leaked to Toto Wolff. Now, this wasn't stated exactly in the source, but because of Toto Wolff and Susie Wolff coming out with these statements, Susie made a statement, the Mercedes team made a statement talking about these allegations and why they are not true and conflicting against the FIA on that. Now today, we got a statement from first a couple of teams joined, and now every single team has made a statement saying they have not talked or caused the conflict that is certainly happening right now. F1 even came out and said that they did not want the FIA to put something out like this. It was never talked about between the two of them. So this is kind of a battle between the FIA versus Formula One. That's kind of what makes the situation pretty big. Now, the situation with Mercedes in general and with Susie Wolff, I didn't even really want to cover it up until every single team put out a statement. McLaren, AlphaTauri, Red Bull. We even just now recently had Christian Horner coming out on Sky Sports and talking about situations, saying that they have not officially talked about anything. I mean, here you go.
Was it you? Did you complain about this?
Look, we have a big rivalry on track, but we haven't raised any official complaint either about Susie or Toto or Mercedes to the FIA.
This causes a stirring pot because the FIA said that they actually had somebody that backed them up for this, the information. They were getting information from the inside of the paddock. They said team principals were against what was happening with Toto Wolff. Well, with all this coming out now, and every single team saying that they're innocent and that they didn't make this, are they suspicious? What are they looking for in these teams? What is actually happening? As I said, it is a conflict between F1 versus the FIA. This is mainly where it stands, and even Christian Horner said it in that interview. With this conflict, it causes a lot of things to happen. First of all, distrust, because if the FIA is kind of just making these claims off of an article that, by the way, this news source has produced horrible things, like just awful articles in general, talking about the conflict of interest, and Ben Sulayem literally just kind of went off of that. Ben Sulayem has kind of been at the throats of F1 for a long time, and this almost all looks like a ploy to kind of set him up getting fired. He almost got fired with the whole entire situation that happened, talking about the actual evaluation for the number of what Formula One is worth. He said it was not worth $20 billion like what Formula One was trying to sell to Saudi. Now, why this caused conflict, obviously, is because why wouldn't Formula One try to up their price to sell their product? If that's what Liberty Media was trying to do. Liberty Media is Formula One at the moment. So if I mention the two, think about them as the same thing. So for Formula One, they wanted to try and sell it, basically. And Ben Sulayem was like, oh, why would they put it for $20 million? It's not worth that. Like, kind of defending Saudi for not trying to buy it. So he was like, okay, I'm going to back up. I'm not really going to speak too much on what's going on with the Formula One situation and so on. And he did. He pretty much backed up. He didn't say much. But as soon as Andretti got talked about, and this is like one of the only things that I really loved for FIA, he stepped up. He was like, look, there's 12 teams that can be on the grid. I want Andretti on the grid, but Formula One is against it. Liberty Media, yet again, got mad at them. Now, another thing for them to talk about. This is bad for bringing new people in. This is bad for Formula One even as a sport. A lot of people like myself don't really care for too much stuff like this. I like watching the sport for what it is. I do like some of the drama side, but I don't like when something like this is being talked about because this is conflict between internal partners that are the biggest shareholders for Formula One. So it's just going to cause stir continuing on for the years and could have put setbacks. Now, the FIA is already, in my opinion, very far from what Formula One wants it to be. Sometimes it feels like Formula One is for the sport, while FIA is for the entertainment. 2021 is your perfect example. But regardless of that, it causes a stir now between teams because now everybody's thinking, oh, Christian Horner did this for Red Bull and went straight to the FIA and made this. They don't really have any benefit doing this for Mercedes. They're the top dogs right now. Why would they want to involve themselves in this slight drama? If there was some competitive nature, do I think Christian would go there right away? Of course he would. But he has no reason to kick Toto Wolff or Susie Wolff out of the sport. He even speaks about it. For F1 Academy, all these teams have to work with Susie Wolff to set up those liveries. There isn't much information that can leak from Susie to Toto that will be huge. Now they're saying FOM information where Toto Wolff can pick up that info from Susie, but none of this is going to impact the racing. And there were these allegations going around, these rumored ones, and Toby Gruner from AMUS, which is probably the most common place that we pick up our news from because they are the most reliable, say that there was some type of meeting, but nothing was said about Toto Wolff actually being questionable in these meetings. Nothing has been complained about anything. Or nobody has complained about anything is what he said. Because they were trying to state, as I said, for the team principals. That is where everything is kind of starting and where this conflict is now interested between the fans and Formula One. Because it is being put out and displayed into the public, rather than being really set out into the private between the FIA and if this is a conflict of interest with Toto Wolff and Susie Wolff. But now that it's out into the public, so the FIA has kind of now really dug their own grave. They have to be very careful now with how they approach the situation because if every F1 team and really F1 as a company is against them, the fans are obviously going to take one side or the other. Now, I'm sitting in here trying to be as not biased as possible because to me, if there was some involvement to where Toto Wolff is benefiting off of Susie Wolff being over there at the F1 Academy, the manager of everything, and Toto being the team principal, then obviously it should be situated. But if that isn't the case, then with the lie and just kind of putting this out because they saw a news article that talked about this and the public formations of this, that to me is too much for them to be lying and then get themselves out of it. It's a big thing, and we could even have the potential of Liberty Media leaving the FIA. Now, to me, this would really bug me because not that I really think the FIA is amazing, it would have to be them now forming their own championship. It wouldn't be under the FIA standards. That would take a lot of time. It would be a lot of process. The whole entire season that we have upcoming for 2024 would be a mess. The TV rights, everything. It can be a big situation, but I don't think it's going to be. I think right now, this is not going to be as big as it's being stated in the media. I think it's going to be resolved more privately than publicly, but now that we've got these public formations, we got to talk about it, and this is kind of the result that I've came through. It's not as big as it needs to be. It can be big if things go completely wrong, but I wouldn't overstate it. The FIA and F1 have fought for a lot of years. I don't think it's going to be a continued on trend, but with the teams coming out, there is now something to talk about because it is F1 versus the FIA. That is the biggest thing that you kind of got to get out of this. So I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. Please leave a like, subscribe. It would mean the world, and